All right. I do believe we are ready to get this party started. Welcome, everyone. Come on in, get settled. Sorry for the little bit of a late start. It's always an experience when you're working with Zoom or any new technology. Good afternoon, and welcome to our webinar called IL 4089, a guide to implementing the new law for plant-based meals. My name is Meryl Fury. I'm a registered nurse and president and CEO of Plant-Based Nutrition Movement, which is a 501c3 right here in Illinois. We are collaborating with Balanced and Coalition for Healthy School Food to produce this webinar. Our goal here today is to support your efforts to implement the new law and make it easy to offer delicious plant-based meals to the students you serve. And you can either do that on a case-by-case basis or even consider the possibility of making it available to everyone. We also want to hear from you, so please put your comments in the chat and your questions in the Q&A sections, okay? We want to hear everything that you have to questions. We want to hear your concerns and your excitement about what's going on with school meals for kids. So before we get started, I want to say a really big thank you to all the school food service personnel on behalf of our 3 organizations hosting this webinar today. We know that even under tight constraints and difficult situations, you work magic for our kids every day. We so appreciate everything that you do to feed them, especially given this last couple years of challenges with budget and regulations and contract and supply chain issues and pandemics and all of it. Everything, we salute you. All right, so we have a lot of great speakers scheduled for this short 90 minutes. So let's dive right in. We'll kick it off with Representative Surreal Nichols, the lead sponsor of the School Breakfast and Lunch Program Act amendment that requires schools to provide plant-based lunches to students who submit a prior request. Representative Nichols, the floor is yours.
So I'd like to first thank everybody for being here, and I got my green drink and vegetable soup. So I'd like to thank everybody for being a part of this webinar. I think it's very important that we understand like the actual consistency in what we need in our school-based lunches. So this idea actually came from my son and a bunch of his high school buddies. They're student athletes, and I had a call, and the school said, you know, your son is still hungry, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, well, I paid for lunch. Like, what's the problem? He's like, well, your son is vegetarian right now. And I'm like, since when? I didn't know that. But anyway, they decided to eat healthier, and the school did not have an option, right? So long story short, when we crafted this legislation, it became apparent to me that even when I was a kid, we didn't have an option, right? And in the Black community where you got high blood pressure, hypertension, diabetes, high sodium, salt, sugar, everything, some of these same lunches, believe it or not, and I'm 57, was actually still being served today, right? So it was really telling to the point that even when I drafted the legislation, the prison industrial complex gives the inmates an option. And my idea was, wow, like we really need to take a look at this. So that was the spirit of this whole idea behind having an option for school lunches, and moving forward. Even if we had to still strengthen this bill a little more, we'll be ready to do it. But now that it's in place, I think that people such as your groups should start to actually make sure that school districts are at least know about the bill, right? Because the first thing a lot of people say is, well, we didn't know it was a bill. We didn't know anything like this was even in place. So it's really important, especially you guys, because you guys are ones going to be delivering the service, that you start to actually call and say, hey, listen, do you guys know that this is an option that's in place, state of Illinois? So with that, I'll answer any questions I can. If not, I'll take notes and I'll get back to you. All right. Thank you guys again for including me in this great meeting.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Representative Nichols. This means a lot to a lot of young people, especially children of color, who struggle with some of the meal choices that are available. So thanks so much for doing this work. Next up, we have a pre-recorded video from Senator Adrienne Johnson. She's one of the bill's co-sponsors. Sorry, everyone. I just found out that you could not hear, so we're taking care of that now, and here we go.
Hello, I am State Senator Adrienne Johnson of the 30th Legislative District, which is in the north suburban area of Lake County, and I have a sliver of Cook County, and it starts from near the Wisconsin border, Wadsworth to Willing. And I am so glad to be here with you today. Thank you to Plant-Based Nutrition Movement for inviting me to make a few brief remarks. I was inspired to co-sponsor House Bill 4089 because I've been a vegan vegetarian for nearly 40 years, and I certainly understand the importance of having a plant-based option. And students may require plant-based options for many reasons, for religious, health-based, or other personal reasons. Our schools should be prepared to offer nutritional options for students with dietary restrictions. As you know, House Bill 4089 requires schools to provide a plant-based school lunch option that complies with federal nutritional standards to any student who submits a prior request. Also, importance, plant-based school lunch options would also suffice as halal options for Muslim students, so long as there are no alcohol or alcohol byproducts, such as vanilla extracts or other extracts used in the preparation of the meals. All students deserve the opportunity to have a well-rounded nutritional meal at school that meets their dietary needs. For some kids, it may be the only substantial meal that they get that day, and they need to be able to make the most of it. I want to thank the food service directors and cooks for everything that you do to keep our children healthy. I appreciate your hard work, and thank you.
Thanks so much, Senator Johnson. We really appreciate your pre-recorded message. Next, we're going to have a registered dietitian. Her name is Deepa Deshmukh. She's in DuPage County with a pre-recorded message. Deepa Deshmukh is a public health dietitian. She's worked with culturally diverse and underserved families with chronic illnesses using diet to promote their health for almost 2 decades. She's also part of the Healthy Kids Collaborative Plant Forward Working Group. She works actively on creating a playbook that can be used by schools to introduce plant-based meals in school. Let's hear from Deepa. Well, as you know, these little conferences and online presentations are never without their fun moments. So we'll just go on to the next presenter, who happens to be Amy Hamlin. Just a reminder, if you would put your questions in the Q&A section, and any comments that you have, you can put in the chat. We will try to get to the questions as they come up, and we certainly will have a Q&A section at the end where we will address questions. Amy Hamlin is the executive director of the Coalition for Healthy School Food, which is a nonprofit that helps schools across the country. She co-founded the organization after she worked to write a New York State legislative resolution. Sorry, I'm stumbling on my words. Resolution in 2004, which passed unanimously, requesting plant-based options on school menus. Amy has a stepson and a daughter who just graduated college. It was her stepson who inspired her to work on school meals. Amy is also an avid gardener and gets a lot of fun growing fruits and vegetables in her yard. Amy, over to you.
Thank you. And I pre-recorded a video, which Velin will bring up, just because I'm having a lot of internet issues. So I didn't want something to go wrong in my presentation. So we will watch a video now. Thank you. And hello, everyone. It's really great to be here. This presentation is brought to you by Coalition for Healthy School Food, Plant-Based Nutrition Movement, and Balanced. We are 3 nonprofit organizations working together to help you implement Illinois Bill 4089. The law states, plant-based school lunch option. As part of the school lunch program, a school district shall provide a plant-based school lunch option that complies with federal nutritional mandates to those students who submit a prior request to the school district requesting a plant-based school lunch option. Note that this act concerns lunches only, not breakfast, after-school snacks, or supper, though certainly if you want to accommodate a student, you can. So, what is meant by plant-based option? And what is meant by lunch option? We reached out to Representative Cyril Nichols to ask. His staff relayed to us that by plant-based is meant 100% plants, and by lunch option, all 5 components should be offered, including a non-dairy milk option if requested. Plant-based, in the case of this law, and as originally defined, means 100% from plants and containing no animal ingredients. Because plant-based foods are so popular and are such a huge food trend, the food industry and others have appropriated the term and created confusion about what it means. And we understand that you may have heard it defined differently, but for the purposes of this law, plant-based means 100% from plants, which also means the same as vegan. By the way, my organization usually uses the term plant-based. However, many schools are using the term vegan and marking menu items with a capital V or VE to indicate that food is vegan. So, what is not plant-based? Well, any meat, and that includes fish and seafood, anything that's derived from mammal's milk, dairy products, milk, cheese, yogurt, sour cream, butter, margarine that contains dairy, some margarines contain dairy, ice cream, any dairy derivatives, eggs or egg byproducts, honey, lard, or gelatin. Now, the bill requires that all lunch components be offered, but on the plant-based meal request form that we will see in a bit, there is a specific question asking if they want non-dairy milk, because you will want to get a sense of how many students will actually take it. And while the meat alternate component is probably the main focus of this bill, since all components of the meal must be offered upon a request, the meat alternates would include things like heat and serve, speed scratch, or scratch. Then some things to watch out for grains are that some grains, breads, pizza crusts, etc., contain dairy, eggs, or honey. With a vegetable, be aware of butter or margarine that contains dairy or sauces. With fruit, there's really nothing to worry about here unless you're using a fruit-based dessert that has dairy, eggs, or honey in it. And for non-dairy milk, well, as you know, there are very specific requirements as per the USDA. Most of you are well aware that there are strict requirements for non-dairy milks, but may not be aware of the qualifying brands. Most are soy milk, but Ripple brand, made from split peas, is also creditable. Not all soy milks qualify, and other types of plant milks such as almond, coconut, oat, rice, and the like do not qualify. Families will need to understand that they cannot request specific brands or types unless the student has a 504 disability plan or unless you are willing to survey participating families to see which non-dairy milk that you are able to get that they would most appreciate. So there's a number of reasons why students or families may be requesting plant-based meals. And these can include health and equity, environment, including climate change, concern for factory, farm, and slaughterhouse workers, concern for animals, and religious beliefs. Now, I want to talk briefly about how all of this relates to equity. Children of the global majority are more likely to rely on school meals. They are more likely to be lactose intolerant, which is a normal condition since mammals are not meant to continue digesting milk after they are babies and weaned. And they are more likely to be disproportionately impacted by diet-related diseases. And the fastest growing demographic of vegans are African Americans. And plant-based eating is becoming popular among all groups and especially among younger people. In addition to preventing or reversing diet-related diseases, which are the biggest killers of Americans, more plant foods also result in immediate benefits to children, including less sickness, which results in fewer absences, better behavior, better mood, better concentration in class, which leads to improved learning and better grades. So, how do you implement 4089? Well, there are two basic ways. One is to individually accommodate students who request it. This option has a number of downsides, including that it can take more labor, time, money, effort keeping track of forms, and more scheduling challenges. However, if you're not willing or able to offer plant-based options that any student could choose, this would be how you implement it. The other way is to offer plant-based options to all students as part of your regular menu. This way, you can save labor, money, because food service directors have found that plant-based options are either cost neutral or even cost saving. And while you still may use the forms, you will spend less time processing them. These plant-based meals that would be available to all students will result in more inclusivity, greater participation. You may see students participating in the meal program who previously didn't, and you may even start to see more staff participating in your meal program as well. And your school lunch program can help your district reach more of their sustainability goals. The downside to this option, if you can call it that, is a bit more initial planning. But it seems like the pros outweigh the cons here. We believe that making plant-based options available to all students is going to be much easier for you once you get past an initial learning curve. And all three of the organizations putting on this webinar are here to help you. You may not be ready to do it now if you haven't already planned to, as your fall menus are already set, but it is something that you could possibly work toward for your next menu cycle. So again, to summarize, two basic ways for implementing this law would be to provide plant-based meals upon prior request for individual students, or make a daily plant-based option that any student could choose. Another concept is veg by default. And this is one way to provide something that most students can eat. The idea is to make foods fully plant-based whenever possible. For example, if you are making baked goods, they can be made without eggs. Or if you're making a soup or stew, you could use a vegetable broth instead of chicken or beef broth. Students love fried rice, so you could make that with tofu instead of eggs or chicken. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the food. So the categories would be heat and serve, speed scratch, and scratch. And oftentimes heat and serve and speed scratch are kind of the same, a little bit of the same. One of our favorites is falafels from American Bean. This is a really popular item and the kids love it. And you can do a lot of things with falafels besides putting them in pita bread. You can also use them on top of a chef's salad, or just have them with ketchup or some other form of dip. Impossible Foods has a number of items that are CN labeled, and even though you'll see the word chicken or sausage or beef, these things are all made from plants and CN labeled. So there's bulk that you can make patties with or crumble in, let's say, a spaghetti sauce. There's fully formed patties, which are fully cooked. There's patties which are not cooked. And there's sausage patties, and then there's the chicken nuggets. Again, all CN labeled and very convenient. Another brand with heat and serve and fast scratch is Morningstar Farms. And these products are also CN labeled, the buffalo wings and the veggie nuggets. Fast scratch or speed scratch, it's referred to both ways. And then finally, scratch. We know some of you cook, and the schools that we work with are the ones that tend to cook a lot. You can get the recipes from our website, healthyschoolfood.org/recipes, and from plantbasedschoolmeals.com. So these are just a variety of the recipes that have been used in Ithaca and other schools around the country. And we have quantity and family size versions of these recipes available on our website and plantbasedschoolmeals.com. And that's a website that we will talk a little bit more about in just a minute. So making plant-based options a regular menu option is more efficient than accommodating students individually. If you normally offer at least 2 hot options, making one of them plant-based makes accommodating plant-based requests easy, but it can benefit all students since other students may also choose these options. What we have found is by featuring foods that are inspired by cultures from around the world, the focus is more foods from cultures around the world, and a lot of students are really interested in that. I'm sure you've heard that there is a connection between food and the environment, but many don't know that animal agriculture contributes more to greenhouse gas production than all transportation combined. And thus, reducing reliance on animal-based foods is an important action to help the environment, both on an individual and institutional level. Students are really stressed about climate change. So promoting plant-based options as climate-friendly shows that you care and is just a great way to help market these recipes. So in the journal Nature, there was some research that said the average US citizen will need to eat 90% less beef and 60% less dairy products to keep the temperature rise under 2 degrees centigrade in relation to climate change. So again, promoting the fact that these recipes are climate friendly will be a way to get students more interested. So other ways that you can help implement the law, well, let families and students know that they can request plant-based lunches. Maybe post this on your website food service page. And you could post a sign in the cafeteria. You could ask the principal to make announcements about the availability of plant-based options upon prior request. And you can post the request form on your website and have paper forms available in the cafeteria and in the main office. What request form, you may wonder? This one. which is available on www.plantbasedschoolmeals.com. So first of all, the slide includes quick reference information up at the top. It's editable to meet your own needs. It asks for 4 weeks notice. It's been reviewed and okayed by the Illinois State Board of Education. It allows family to include multiple children at the same schools, allows high school students to fill out their own form. It defines plant-based so families are clear about what that means and that you know what it means. It limits scheduling options to daily or specific days of the week. Otherwise, it would be really difficult to manage. It allows for the request of non-dairy milk, and it allows families to indicate allergies, but it also requires them to fill out additional forms. This is really important because the schools will not rely on this form for allergy information. This is simply asking about allergies to plant-based foods in their planning of plant-based options. But if your students have an allergy, of course, you want to have a detailed form about that. And so it's letting the families know that they need to fill out additional forms for allergies. Now, I'm going to get into how each of the 3 organizations can help. I am with the Coalition for Healthy School Food, and so some of the ways that we can help include we provide educational resources, including a resource that can be read over the PA system each morning, which is nutrition education in the form of easy to digest sound bites. And we have a resource that a lot of cafeterias use, which is called Feel Good Food Cards, and those are pictures of individual foods with interesting facts. We have our school food service booklet, Why What You Serve Matters Now More Than Ever, and that you can find on the combined website that we're going to talk about in a minute. We have our recipes in both family size and quantity. So the family size recipes can be shared with families. They can be used in family and consumer science classes or after school cooking classes. The quantity recipes for you. We can provide guidance on taste testing in the cafeteria and on marketing plant-based options and menu development. And we provide education for the whole school community, including students, families, and anyone who works in the school, including food service staff. And you can get a better idea of what we do at our website, healthyschoolfood.org/annual review. The Plant-Based Nutrition Movement is an organization founded by Meryl Fury, our moderator today. Thank you, Meryl. The Plant-Based Nutrition Movement is an Illinois-based nonprofit focused on plant-based nutrition. It provides education for students using curricula that supports Common Core standards, and it provides nutrition education for families. That's Plant-Based Nutrition Movement. And next, we'll talk about Balanced. Balanced Institutional Support Program provides support to food service teams to optimize nutrient density on menus. How do they do this? With menu nutrition analysis, menu design and recipe sourcing, one-to-one planning and implementation consultancy, marketing and promotion guidance and custom designed materials, procurement support and vendor connections, and more, all at no cost to you. And thank you to Balance for making the beautiful website. Thank you, Audrey and Michelle. This is the website, plantbasedschoolmeals.com. I want to thank all of you who are here today. You are our heroes. We know how hard you work, and we very much appreciate the work you do to feed students. We are here to help. you can contact any of us. You may want to take your camera and grab a picture of this page. We will also be sending the webinar link to all of you so you can watch it again or share with any staff that you want to see it who couldn't attend live today. And finally, as a reminder, visit www.plantbasedschoolmeals.com for resources. You can also find our contact information there. And note that we will continue adding content to this site. So what you see there is just the beginning. Thank you to all my colleagues here today. Thank you to all of the food service directors and cooks and anyone else on the call. Thank you to our tech person, Lynn. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. It has been a real pleasure.
All right. Thank you, Amy. That was great. And thanks for pre-recording that. I know that took a little something. She's been having tech issues at home in upstate New York. So we do have a question in the Q&A section that I think we could address right now. Amy, if you're available to answer this question, if you could come on screen, that would be great. The question is, has ISBE or the USDA defined the term plant-based? It is not defined in the amendment, so our understanding was that it was intended to be plant-forward, not vegan.
That's a great question. Thank you for it. Because I'm sure a lot of other people are wondering too. As I noted in the presentation, there weren't definitions in the law, and I think as Representative Nichols sort of alluded to, that they may update the law a little bit. But the intention when the law was created that they did mean 100% from plants. So, so not plant forward, but 100% from plants. Or vegan would be another way of saying that. That was the intention when the bill was made, and that is how the Illinois State Board of Education is interpreting it. I did speak with Beth Tanner there, and she did tell me that is how they are also interpreting it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was a great question. All right, we are going to go on to our next speaker, who happens to be Beth Kraus. She's a registered dietitian, and she's the food service director of Ithaca City Schools in upstate New York. Beth started her academic career knowing that she wanted to be a school food service director and a dietitian. She has worked as a school food service director in 5 school districts in upstate New York since 1995. During her tenure, she has seen student food preferences change to wanting fresh, ethnic, and vegetarian, vegan, global flavor choices. She has implemented full salad bars in districts that include fresh, local, and in-season produce. Beth has 2 teenagers, and in her spare time, she's a member of the Ithaca Dragon Boat Club, the Cayuga Outrigger Club, stand-up paddleboard group, and she loves to travel with her family. Let's hear from Beth.
Good afternoon. My name is Beth Kraus. I'm the registered dietitian and food service director here at the Ithaca City School District in Ithaca, New York. We have worked with the Coalition for the Healthy School Food since 2008, bringing plant-based forward entrees and foods to all of our students. The plant-based options that are scratch-made use beans, lentils, split pea, tofu, tempeh, and other items. The plant-based protein foods such as veggie burgers, hummus, or falafel are also a great option. Year after year, requests for plant-based foods are going up. Our scratch-made options are well accepted by the students. A plant-based meat or meat alternate is a healthy choice for all students, not just vegetarians and vegans. Added bonus of all this, it's good for the environment. Cool School Food recipes feature plant-powered recipes from cultures around the world. Food service directors can be creative and seek recipe ideas from families or staff that come from various cultures. Miss Patel's Rajma is an Indian kidney bean curry developed by Miss Patel, a beloved assistant and after-school assistant. Roy's Cuban wraps were developed by Roy, who was in our food service department. Some of our plant-based options that have been featured in the past are on this slide. Some of the promotional signage we use for the Awesome Bean Burger. Full reimbursable plant-based meals can be constructed from salad bars. A salad bar can include meat alternates, such as below. Participation is up. More parents are willing to have their children participate in the meal program when healthier options are available. Students appreciate scratch-made recipes, and higher participation means more reimbursement and healthier meals and better meals for all. In Ithaca, we have found that plant-based entrees to be cost neutral overall. There's no extra staff needed. We have been able to produce scratch-made recipes without the additional staff or additional hours. Staff appreciate learning new skills and actually cooking. For efficiency, we often make 2 versions of the same thing. For example, tofu fried rice and chicken fried rice. In this case, though, we have found that the students would take all the tofu option if there wasn't a chicken option, just because they loved it. Staff are busier in what were usually slower times using the pre-made foods. This is a time that they are already paid for. There's also healthier plant-based foods available, veggie burgers, hummus, falafels, and more that are all pre-made. Promoting healthy options, we limit less healthy options, and we use some of the items below. We invite taste testing in the lunch line, principal visit to the cafeterias, and recipe-specific announcements, along with signage and teachers eating with the students. We make health the culture of the school district and be consistent in the messaging. If you need to contact me, you can contact me at my email would be best, or at my phone number. Thanks.
That was perfect. Thanks, Beth. You know, your work with the scratch made meals is just really inspiring. Thank you so much. I know not a lot of schools have that as an option these days, but we really appreciate what you're doing with that, and I'm sure your students do too. Let's see. Last but not least, I want to go back and look and make sure I'm catching up on some of the questions too, as is appropriate. Some of these we're going to answer later on. And I'm sure some of them will be almost like district by district, how they answer the questions. There's one in particular that says, can adult staff members who pay for their lunches request a plant-based meal? I'm going to imagine that's going to be on a like district by district or school by school basis. So some of those kind of questions we can't answer in this higher level conversation today. All right. So last but not least, we have our next speaker who's from Skokie and Evanston. It's great to have an Illinois-based person right here in the mix. We're thrilled to have Kate, who is doing some great stuff in her school. Kate Mason Schultz is a Master's of Public Health and SNS. Kate was born and raised in central Wisconsin. She began working for the Evanston Skokie School District in 2014 as a kitchen manager, implementing and overseeing a Head Start CACFP program. She became the nutrition services coordinator for the district in 2016. She oversees 45 staff members in 18 buildings. Kate has 2 children, a 3rd grader and one who starts middle school this year. Her biggest proud mama moments are when her kids try new foods and realize they aren't so bad after all. She loves yoga and eats a primarily vegetarian diet. Let's hear from Kate.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kate Mason-Schultz. I'm the Nutrition Services Coordinator at the Evanston-Skokie School District in Illinois. I want to just say good afternoon and thank you to the Coalition for Healthy School Food for having me. I'm excited to speak to you about this initiative and share a little bit of my experiences and plans going forward. So my school district is comprised of 18 schools. We have just under 7,000 students district-wide. The menu that I'm sharing with you today covers 12 of those schools, so our elementary and maintenance schools. While our ultimate goal with our menus would be to utilize more scratch cooking, we are definitely a speed scratch or a heat and serve district at this point. So I'm going to start off by giving you a little bit of background here. Starting last school year, we offered a vegetarian option every day at our elementary and middle schools. And, you know, just to be clear, these were vegetarian options, not vegan or plant-based, which are both terms that I use interchangeably. This offering was truly at the request of our students. After I sat in superintendent's student advisory group meetings and heard feedback, especially from our middle schoolers regarding school meals and the want for vegetarian meals, it became really clear to me that we needed to provide some options. And it's not that we never offered vegetarian lunches prior to this. We've been participating in Meatless Mondays for at least the last 4 years. It's just that it was always a cold entree. And in my mind, at least, and I'm betting the students as well, these were less enticing than our hot options. So starting last year, 75% of our second options were hot vegetarian entrees and also closely resembled the meat entree. For example, pancakes and chicken sausage were made vegetarian by simply switching to a meatless breakfast sausage patty. While planning last year's menu, I don't think I even realized that quite a few of the products we utilized were also vegan. So when I began to hear about this new bill this year, I didn't completely panic because I knew that this should be a pretty simple task given where we were with our current menu. This year, what I did was to take my 3-week cycle menu and offer vegan options 3 days a week right off the bat. Without receiving any requests from parents as of yet. So it's important to note some options repeat themselves, and I did this to just be financially smart from an inventory and a waste perspective. I don't want to purchase a dozen new products. I want to purchase half that amount. I also have a plan for the other 2 days each week. There are menu options planned, and I will also have those products on hand if the need should arise. Planning all of this out ahead of time will save me the headache of trying to pull something together in a rush later on in the school year when that first request comes in. Planning in advance also puts my staff in a better place. I'm able to discuss this initiative with them as soon as next week when we have our back to school meetings. With more experience and also frequent exposure, they will feel more confident talking about this initiative with school staff, parents, and their students. Even though I have vegan meals built in, if a parent reaches out to specifically request plant-based meals, I will still utilize a form for record keeping. This form will also alert me if I need to ensure that we're sending the vegan option every day, along with any desire for plant-based milk. More than anything, I believe in this initiative. For me personally, it's primarily environmental factors that drew me in, seeing as how plant-based options have less detrimental effects on the planet than animal-based alternatives. But the health benefits that come from eating a variety of alternative protein sources are, of course, another positive of making this switch. It's documented. Oh, I'm sorry. Of making this switch and making everything available to our students and all of our students, not just those with requests. I believe there is an equity piece to this as well. It's documented that people of color are more likely to struggle to digest dairy products, not to mention the disproportionate rate of diet-related diseases like heart disease and diabetes amongst people of color. So my goal this year is to really gain an understanding of which plant-based options my students will most readily accept. I'm really proud and excited that all students can benefit from the option of plant-based meals. And I'm hopeful that our students will be open to trying new things with or without their parents' request. Also, throughout the course of the school year, I will actively be looking for new items that can replace some of those items on the menu that are close but don't quite cut the bill. For example, the wow butter and jelly sandwich, or the veggie breakfast sausage. I'll be looking for alternatives to those. I would love to have just my second option automatically be a vegan option going forward. So to me, this initiative and what we are doing here is truly the definition of nutrition education, trying new foods, being exposed to them at school, and then going home and talking to your families about it.
Thanks so much, Kate. That is really impressive. I want to thank you myself. I was one of those kids who could not digest milk when I was a kid, and I didn't know it. So every time I got the carton of milk put on my tray, I would drink it, and then I would suffer the effects within about 48 hours. So thanks so much. I can't tell you how important it is for children, especially children of color, as we are more likely to have the challenges than our white counterparts. You know, it just makes such a huge difference to know that the food that we're giving our children, at least if they're choosing it, is going to support them in the long and short run. That's just wonderful. I can't tell you how happy I am about that. All right. I'm just going to check one more time. Were we able to get the little video by Deepa, our registered dietitian?
Hi, thank you for joining Plant-Based Meals, Exploring Opportunities to Solve Food Insecurity and Health Equity presentation. My name is Deepa Deshmukh. I am a registered dietitian and certified diabetes care and education specialist. I would like to begin today's segment by reflecting on the history of National School Lunch Program, how and why it was started. The National School Lunch Act was signed by President Harry Truman in 1946 to safeguard the health and well-being of the nation's children and to encourage the domestic consumption of nutritious agricultural commodities and other foods. In 2010, No Kid Hungry initiative was signed to further extend the goal and mission of this law and to address the social determinants of health, specifically access to food and health equity. Social determinants of health are the conditions in the environments where people are born, live, learn, work, play, worship, and age that affect a wide range of health, functioning, and quality of life outcomes and risks. Under this law, 32 million children are fed each and every single school day. Very hardworking group of school administrators, supervisors, dietitians, managers, frontline food service staff, chefs, teachers, parents make this mission possible every single day, rain or shine, no pandemic or pandemic. These people make sure that our children are offered a good meal at a school or be delivered at home. They are our National School Lunch Program heroes and champions. School meals matter. The impact of National School Lunch Program on children's health cannot be underestimated. We know that school meals have an impact on both physical and mental health of our children. Some main benefits include reduced food insecurity, improved dietary intake, meeting children's nutritional needs leading to a better learning environment, and positive impact on overall health. In addition, imagine the social and economical impact it has on our GDP. However, due to fast changes to the environment that we are living in and ever-changing demands of modern life, the rates of childhood obesity in last three decades have tripled. We all know that childhood obesity is a major contributor to the incidences of diabetes, blood pressure, heart disease, and mental health issues, specifically depression, anxiety, poor self-esteem, poor sleep among kids. The alarming trend of this increased incidences of chronic disease among kids warrants us to look at opportunities to reassess our meal offerings at schools, home, and other settings where children consume their meals. The the research about consuming nutrient-dense plant-based diets consisting of whole grains, beans, lentils, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, herbs, spices, water, and its effect on lowering the risk of diseases like heart disease, obesity, blood pressure, depression, anxiety, type 2 diabetes is well established and proven. It has become quite clear that eating a plant-based diet is an effective way to improve human and planet health. 90% of the kids are deficient in fiber, the most important nutrient for human survival. Only plants have fiber. Plant-based diets are not only not only a rich source of fiber, but also provides us with other nutrients, key nutrients such as slow carbs for sustained energy, protein for growth and development, antioxidant polyphenols to build immune system, vitamins for mental calmness and better sleep, minerals such as sodium, potassium, calcium, iron for strong bones, teeth, growth, and vitality, healthy fats for brain health, and water for energy and brain health. So let's see what our kids have to say about eating or having more plant-based meals at school. Kids are loving it and want it. The most recent survey conducted by Chartwell's K-12 division revealed that plant-forward meals have a good acceptance rate. 1 in 3 kids wants a meat-free option. 37% reported to choose school lunch if plant-based options are offered, and kids are demanding and enjoying the global flavors as quoted by Chef Peter Gilhooly, the Vice President of Culinary at Chartwell, the K-12 division. As a public health dietitian, I have looked at offering plant-based meals at schools as an opportunity to address the social determinants of health, mainly the issue of health equity and cultural inclusivity. By offering plant-based meals, everyone wins. How? Because plant-based meals will allow us to create meals with global flavors that kids want and love it, which will increase their lunch participation, thus reducing the food insecurity and further contributing to cultural inclusivity and ultimately achieve the health equity. In the end, I would like to introduce the concept of melting pot versus a salad bowl theory, a social science theory. Unlike the melting pot theory, which focuses on one-size-fits-all approach to solve the problem, salad bowl theory calls upon us to celebrate our diversity through food, beliefs, values, along with our feeling of oneness. We all not only have the power but a social responsibility to ensure that our children have access to plant-based nutrient-dense foods to help them thrive and become productive adults. I would like to call upon all the National School Lunch Program heroes such as school administrators, supervisors, dietitians, managers, chefs, frontline food service staff, teachers, parents, and even children to use school meals to further improve the physical and mental health of our children by offering them globally inspired plant-based meals that are nutritious and delicious. Thank you for attending, and I look forward to your questions.
Great. Thank you so much. Deepa was planning to be here today to answer questions, but she is unable to attend. So please continue to put your questions in the Q&A section, and we'll have our live Q&A here shortly, and we can answer whatever questions you do have, but Deepa will not be available. I do believe that about wraps it up for our presentations. now we can go on to questions. In the meantime, Velin, if you wouldn't mind putting up the slides we have just for contact information, just in case anybody missed taking either the websites down or the email addresses or anything, if you could just put those up. And please take pictures of these slides so that you know how to contact us. There was a question. There was a question in the chat just a little bit ago, and I don't know if everyone was able to see that, but it was a question about honey. And if that is a plant forward or a whole food plant-based, or is that vegan? I'd like to answer that question because that is a fine sort of nuance that it does come up. It's a question that comes up often. I guess I'll go ahead and answer it. I was going to look at my panel and see if there's anyone else would answer, but I'll go for it. Honey is an animal product. Yes, it comes from bees, right? There are people who eat whole food plant-based that do consume honey. That is correct. A vegan person specifically would not. And that's where we get into the differences between, like, really the splitting of hair differences between whole food plant-based, plant forward, and vegan. So if you're a school and you're offering plant-based meals, I don't know that honey would be an issue in a school. I really don't know if that's an offering, but it is considered an animal product. All right, we have a question in the chat. I'm going to ask the other members who are here live and able to answer questions to please come on screen. And we will answer the questions that come up. There's a question up right now that says, has a notice gone out to all school districts about this law? I'm guessing is what you're asking, Ellen. A notice about this law going out to the school districts? I will answer that as the person in Illinois. I really don't know if it's gone out. Maybe someone in our audience could answer. Has anyone in the audience seen notification of this law come out as like a general announcement? I can tell you, we heard about it almost a year ago as a news story that Illinois was the first state to make this a law, and that it was for school lunch, not all meals and not snacks, but just for school lunch. That's how we have heard about it. Are there any other questions?
Meryl, I will add that I don't know what kind of announcements the Illinois State Board of Education has done about the law per se, but they did tell me they talked about it at their conference, and they did tell me, well, and they also helped to promote this webinar. So at least people heard about the webinar, which specified that it was about this topic for me. Also, I do want to answer, like, your answer about the honey was great. It is true that some people who would consider themselves plant-based to eat honey, but because Representative Nichols said he used the terms 100% plant-based and vegan, so honey is not vegan. So if I think according to the intention of the law, to fulfill the requirement, you would not have honey in the plant-based options.
Right. Also, as you said earlier, in speaking with your contact at the State Board of Education, the definition they're using of plant-based is 100% plants, no animal products at all, correct?
Yes, that's right. Thank you.
Any other questions? I don't see anything popping up.
I wonder if Kate would want to just get on and talk a little bit, because she is really implementing, she's really done a lot to get this on the menu. I don't know if she felt like there was anything else she'd like to add.
Kate, are you available?
I am. I'm here. I have loud background noise, so I'm sorry. I think the only other thing that I'm thinking about right now in regards to all of this is how to best kind of advertise or put it out to my community. Generally, I kind of like to wait until the dust settles after school starts and after parents have been inundated with so much information, the couple of weeks leading up to school. So I am drafting just a short blurb that will go in my district's weekly communication. So I think that will go out the week after school starts, and by that time, I will also be able to link the form that you had created, Amy. So I think that will come into great use for us, and I am really excited to see what kind of feedback we get from parents and just the number of requests. Evanston is a really vocal community, and I've been hearing requests and kind of talking about different menu options for a while. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Kate, do you have any idea if there has been a general announcement about this law and change sent out to the school districts?
The only thing that I saw was a forwarded email from my superintendent referencing this webinar. So I don't know. But she did see this, so she knows that there is something.
Okay. We have another question. And I'm going to guess this is going to be a case by case, district by district kind of question. Question is, how much prior notice does the form need to be completed? Any thoughts?
Well, on the form specifically, it says 4 weeks. That was in consultation with the Illinois State Board of Education. Also, I spoke with Kate about it because the reality of coordinating, deciding what you're going to make, getting the food ordered can take several weeks, even just to get the food ordered. So obviously, because these forms are editable, school districts can modify the forms. So for example, if the school feels like they can do it in a shorter period of time, they are welcome to make it a shorter period of time. So the 4 weeks, it's really a recommendation.
Thank you, Amy. We have another question. Perhaps we need to craft a news release. I think that's a great idea, and I'd be happy to work with anyone on that. Ellen, give me a call and we can work on that. There is a request to see the form. Can you forward the request form to everyone when you send the deck? The request form is actually on the website. So Velan, maybe you could put up the slide with the website and all the contact information, and people could take a picture of that and go to the website and you'll see the form right there. All right, follow-up question on the timing for prior notice. If it's 4 weeks notice and parents are just finding out about it now, that isn't equitable. Well, here's what I would suggest. Go to the website, download the form, fill it out, and disseminate it to the people in your circles in your school. Get it out as fast as possible. That's the best we can offer at this point. Realizing, of course, that none of the people on this webinar, thank you, have any power over making a difference with that, right? We don't have that control. All we have are some tools that we can offer. So please get the form printed, downloaded, sent out to your families as soon as possible. That would be the best suggestion I could offer. All right, any other questions? All right. I'm gonna, oh, which website is the form on? Phelan, could you please put that slide up one more time where it has the website so that we can make sure everyone has that? All right. I don't see the URL on there. There it is. That's it. Thank you. So that is the website right there across the top, plantbasedschoolmeals.com. It is only a small coincidence that the person in the middle of that picture right there looks like me. Just kidding. All right. And also, Vlin, if you could go down to the next slide that has everybody else's. Yep, there we go. Perfect. This is everybody else's contact information who presented today or who was behind the scenes. Michelle Salatin was behind the scenes. She is with Balanced. And everybody else was on screen.
And you might want to grab your camera and just take a picture of this, so you'll have it all in one place together. Although we will share it, we'll put it on the website, plantbasedschoolmeals.com.
Yes, please take a picture.
Are there any of the other panelists who would like to say something? We've answered all of the questions so far that are in the Q&A. So if there's any other questions, now is your time to ask them.
All right. Well, maybe we can wrap it up now. It seems like we've gotten all the questions answered. And for sure, if you have any other questions, if you're like me and you wake up in the middle of the night with this burning question, send us an email. Please don't call at 2 o'clock in the morning, but you can certainly send us an email and we'll be happy to respond at our earliest opportunity. All right. I want to thank everybody who attended and who contributed. Thank you so much, Representative Cyril Nichols. Wonderful work in getting this legislation passed for our kids. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Kate, for being available for questions. Beth, for your recorded presentation. Amy, thanks so much for being here and all that you contributed. Thank you, Michelle, you're behind the scenes, just knocking it out of the park. Thank you so much. Vlin, thank you so much. And Audrey, who you haven't heard a peep from, but she's back there too. Thanks, everybody. We will be doing more of these webinars. We'll be getting this word out. This is just the beginning. And again, we want to thank all of the school food service folk who are here for just taking care of our kids every day and making it work moment by moment. So thanks so much. We will see you guys next time. Have a great day.